Sorry, yeah, bro. I sent a person in the Philippines the StreamYard and the YouTube, and I was like, "Why aren't these guys here?" And then I was like, "Oh my god!"
Do you know how many times I've done the post on Twitter, and then I realized like 5 minutes later that I tagged Amit, Vitaly, and Kris Jenner.
Yeah.
She's probably like, "What the fuck? What do you junkies? What?"
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Finance Junkies. Vitai's working late tonight, so he's not going to be here. It's us three. We got a lot to talk about. We got the CELCIUS guy going to jail. We got Tom Lee's predictions for 450 on the S&P. We got stocks going crazy today. Bunch of stuff to discuss. But before we get into that, very special surprise announcement by Mr. Kris Patel. Kris, you have the floor.
Take it away.
Yeah. You know, I was hesitant on doing this. I launched a Patreon. One of the reasons why is because as you guys know, I do a shit ton of research. So everywhere I go now is a fucking paywall. Like literally every site that has good information that's somewhat decent, they're charging. So I was paying a lot of it on my own, and it's starting to get up there. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I can launch a Patreon. Some of the other people, they reached out to me and said, Kris, why don't you do a Patreon? We really like what you have to offer. So I said, you know, I was a little bit reluctant on it, but I figured now is a good time to just like do that. And so this way I can take all that data, aggregate it, and then share it with people, right? So I'm still going to publicly probably like give out like the stuff that I find and put it out there. But if you want like a detailed explanation, I'm probably just going to like keep that to like the Patreon members, and probably I'll probably try to do some like Zoom calls here and there.
Did you integrate the Discord with Patreon thing yet, or not yet?
No, not yet. Okay,
so I'm assuming you'll have a Discord for patrons. Remember,
I'm debating on that. Okay. We'll see. Maybe I'll do a Discord. Who knows? I'm still like discovering this. For the most part, I'm trying to figure out a way to share the information that I get, because sometimes it can get pretty long and lengthy, and I don't want people to have to spend like 5 hours trying to understand like 2 key points that are trying to be made here. So yeah, it's just I figure it's a good time to, you know, put.
Why don't you bring up the page so we can look at the tiers?
I don't even have it loaded.
Did you make the tiers yet, or edit any of the stuff yet, or not yet?
Yeah, I just created it. Okay. I really don't know how Patreon really like. Hold on one second. Let me just put it on this.
So while you're bringing that up, let me summarize a little bit of this for you, because I went through this February last year, so I kind of know what it feels like. Basically, Kris is launching a Patreon. He's going to be speaking publicly about all the same shit he's speaking about, but the reason he's launching this is because I think he gets.
I don't know.
By
the way, thank you. I got 2 people already, so thank you guys. Pietro, Sarah, and Goth Duck. Thank you guys. You guys are my first patrons.
Okay.
Check your inbox for the nudes.
Yes. After this, I'll help you set up the tiers. I'll help you do
it. He's gonna make TikTok videos of him going like ice cream.
Yes. No. Patreon,
yummy.
Patreon is very confusing in that they need a whole. And by the way, there's a lot of competitors that are coming for their lunch, because they don't make it that easy for creators to get up and start it. But the point is, I think Kris gets like 10, 15 DMs a day asking about the theses he has on TFC or SMCI, whatever it is. And I think what he's trying to do with his Patreon is be like, how can I consolidate giving priority to answering these questions in a way that also compensates me for my time, because he's a busy man, he has a wife, he has a job, all that shit, but still creates value. And the only way to do that is have some type of monetary exchange. So for $5-10 a month, you guys
not only that, but you'll be supporting me as I actually get good data. You guys will be so surprised on how much bullshit is out there and not enough good data. And all the good data sources are behind paywalls, or research articles are behind paywalls. And so you have to get around those paywalls. And back in the day, there was a lot of information that was out there that was really good, that was free. Now, any site that you go to that has reputable like information or like charts or data points, all of them charge money. So I'm like, you know, if I can bring value to the community, it'd be worth it, you know.
I think you'll also find that it's a good place for you to just keep track of your like investment journey. It's like a journal, right? It'll pay you dividends in the future. That's great, man. Congratulations, dude.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
So for any of those who wanted a little bit more direct priority to Kris,
you can't get enough Kris.
You can't get enough Kris. You want to know his more research, you want to get him out there, then yeah, definitely sign up for his Patreon. We'll put a link in the description after this episode is posted.
Yeah.
All right,
guys. Yep.
What do we got? What's the first thing we want to talk about? We want to talk about the stock market or Celsius? Or Celsius? Which one do you guys want to do?
Let's
first?
talk the stock market.
Okay, Carlos, what
I
were your
mean,
thoughts on the stock market today?
Dude, I mean, how's everybody else's portfolio looking? Doesn't it feel good?
Wait, let me just address something.
How is your portfolio today with one emoji in the chat? Like
the super fan tier,
Man,
I will figure out how to actually like provide some exclusivity between the tiers.
I will help
literally
Kris with this too. It's not the
yeah,
easiest.
I have never done a Patreon. I've never done anything, so I don't know how to, but I am going to try to at least structure it so each tier gets a specific benefit. So I appreciate everyone who joins as a fan, super fan, and I just put the inner circle because I figured that was a cool thing. But I'm like I said, I'm learning.
It's better than my Patreon name. When I started my Patreon, the Discord was Amit and the Crew. I was like, that's the name, and it's still the name today.
like some 90s punk band.
Yeah.
Chris, he'll probably do the tiers of like 5, 10, and 20, and
there's got to be you got to have it be some Star Wars reference, dude. Like the tiers have to be
the Darth Vader tier is Darth Vader's the $20
Darth Vader tier,
yeah.
That's the one.
The Ender of Worlds.
All right, Carlos, thoughts on the stock market today? PPI came in way better than the market expected. That's why I think we had some continued momentum.
Right.
How are you feeling?
I didn't even check that. I was a little bit out of the loop today, but no, it felt really good to see. I mean, all my calls are printing. They're like over 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody out there that has like SoFi calls that bought anywhere in like the $4 or $5 range, Jesus Christ, these things are printing, and we still have so much time left on these. It was good. My portfolio.
Wait, your SoFi calls printed today?
No, I'm saying in general, everything is up 100%.
That's the one thing that fucked my portfolio today. It was great, and I look and I see because they got a downgrade.
Yeah. No, they didn't print today, but everything is just so up. I mean, forget it. My Innovix is up. I mean, everything is up, which is like you were saying yesterday. It is a cause for concern, but I'm in this for the long run. I'm in this for the long haul. So I am just happily enjoying these gains and patiently waiting. I did pick up some more Enphase today. If you guys are a member of our Discord, you see, picked up another 30 shares. Again, I'm like, these prices are ridiculous. These are prices that we saw almost a year ago. It's nonsense. So this is what I mean by good research data. Yesterday, I was actually doing more research on Enphase. I wanted to see what kind of residential solar adoption there currently is outside of just out of the core California area, because after the changes to the laws in California with regards to how they're going to be paying users, and California being such a large market, I wanted to see what kind of longer term impacts there were going to be. But everything was, like I said, behind a paywall, so I couldn't even figure out. Like, I tried to get the data, but I couldn't. So the thing is, from anecdotally, from what I saw, solar penetration for residential is slowing down, but penetration for grid scale is going up, which is good. You know, you want to see more solar adoption because everyone wants to go green. But the thing is, how it's going to happen, I don't know. And how is that going to impact Enphase going into this quarter? Because from what I saw, I started to see, and I can't say that this information is reliable because the source that I was looking at was not as reliable, was that the amount of solar installations have gone down significantly compared to year over year. So that may be reflected in the earnings for Q2 for Enphase. You know, if you guys watched Q2 is typically bad. A really good episode actually for you guys to watch. I went over all of this on the premiere episode of the stock tank with Tanner. It was an entire hour and 40-minute Enphase presentation. I came in about middle and I answered all of these questions.
You were actually live on it?
Yeah, I was live on it and I answered all of these questions. There's a lot of reasons why, like, you have to understand something, Kris, is that Enphase doesn't necessarily sell directly to the customers. Their base are the installers. And so there's a lag. There's a different, in other words, installers build up inventory regardless of whether or not they have installs or not. So any lag in installations will hit the installers before it hits Enphase. Does that make sense?
No,
there's a million reasons why. There's a million reasons why to be bullish on the company outside of what you're seeing, say, with respect to the installs or what's happening with rates and whatnot. It's a somewhat seasonal business, and that's good because it does give you buying and selling opportunities as the market rewards and punishes them on a quarterly basis, right? So Q2 is typically a really good time to accumulate shares. That's one of the look. I did the same thing a couple of years back. I picked up some shares in May, and by September they almost doubled, and that's how I picked up the Tesla. So I'm not recommending everybody do that, and I'm not saying it's going to happen every year. But today I was just like, these prices are ridiculous, and I picked up some extra shares.
Nice. I think for me, I do definitely want to get into Enphase because they're very profitable. They have a growing business.
I know, but you're waiting for this miracle 130. You're waiting for this like miracle rug pull 130. Can you bring up what I sent you in the private chat? Kris should see this.
Sure, I'll take a look.
CTO of Enphase announcing that they're shipping 16 million microinverters soon from the US. This is with Biden.
See, normally I would totally be on board, but once again, you're seeing credit tightening, not just in the US now. You're starting to see it in Europe. You're starting to see it in Australia and New Zealand. So the thing is, the value prospect of getting solar is a lot less than what it was last year. Last year, you could see a big ramp up because electricity prices were through the roof. So everyone was like, I need to get solar. I need to get solar. So people were willing to pay an additional premium to get it. Now I'm starting to see, like I said, demand drop off, and it's just a year over year growth comparison that may not be may end up making the numbers look a little bit poor, but that doesn't mean that it's not a good investment opportunity for the long run, right? The other thing is,
this is what I say to people. It's the same thing that we talk about with the housing market. Every year that you wait, you are paying rent in another, you're paying someone else's mortgage, right? It's the same deal. What you're waiting for, say with respect to rates, what you're waiting for, you're going to pay more than that in your electric bill while you're trying to wait for a better rate. The other thing is there are margins there that installers can use to finagle the install price for someone, so that even at the higher rates, it's still comparable. It's still a good deal. So in other words, your monthly payment on that system, remember, you're paying for a loan. The solar system is going to handle all of your electric needs. So you're not going to have an electric bill. And good chance, depending on where you live, you're going to be making money off of that. But that aside, your bill is going to be constant all year round. You're not going to get that surprise bill in August. It's one bill for equipment only. And after a certain number of years, when you pay that off, the system continues to produce electricity and money for you. You can refinance those loans as well. And so the same strategy that we talk about when it comes to homes, you can apply the same strategy and you can refinance the loan at a later date for a cheaper rate if and when rates come down, while at the same time banking the savings over whatever it is, the course of the year that you're saving the money on the electricity. There's really, I can't think of a bad time that it would be to get solar. Even in a higher rate environment, it does give people sticker shock, but at the end of the day, the system should be costing you nothing. It's like buying an apartment, putting someone in there to rent it, and they're going to pay that they're going to pay you that rent till it's paid off.
Yeah. Like I said, I want to do more in-depth research on this. Same thing with comparing. I know someone's here, electricity prices aren't going down on a kilowatt per hour basis. Depends on where you live. They are actually going down because natural gas prices have gone down significantly. So that's what happens. You know, when you have feeder stocks go up, price of electricity goes up, feeder stock goes down, you're going to see electricity go down. So my thing right now is that the average turnaround time has gone from 3 years in terms of payback, or 4 years of payback with the Enphase, like a solar system, to a little bit much further out. And especially with higher interest rates, even further. The thing is, though, their battery business may end up getting a big boost in terms of growth. Like I said, that's one of the areas that I'm kind of like interested in seeing and talking to some installers, because
we have literally, if you want to, we have done so many interviews with installers. We've done probably 7 or 8 interviews with installers all over the country. And
no, I'm saying more current or more recent ones, you know, like not like
with respect to, but the same situation was happening. If you're looking at if you're talking about rates and whatnot. If that's what you're saying, like how they noticed the slowdown. Listen, the main installer in Australia was installing something like 120 installs a month. I couldn't believe that number was so massive. I mean, he's in Australia, but still, that is a ridiculous number. Whereas
how much profit does Enphase make off of one sale?
What do you mean, like in terms of an
like
inverter?
A microinverter? Yeah,
I'm not exactly sure what their margin is on that, but they're more expensive than a comparable from a competitor or solar edge system. But so they do charge a premium for it. So I mean, let's just say it's $15-20 per. Let's just say that it's a 20% margin. That's a lot of money. They're talking about shipping 16 million of these things from the U.S. alone, and they have, and they're a global company. I'm just pulling this thing up now.
You want me to show that Instagram reel real quick? I got it.
Yeah, you want to see? It's just worth checking out. It's only like 60 seconds or something.
Line, 2 new lines.
2 new lines here.
2 new lines, 600 permanent employees.
Yes, right? 600 per location. So we've got 3 locations.
But in this location,
600.
600.
Yep. Really, the heart of this device is this chip here, right here. This is a custom semiconductor. We make it ourselves. And again, part of the CHIPS Act, this is really relevant for us. And it's the software that runs all of this as well. So President Biden, you've made 68 million of these. Since I started the company, 68 million of these have been shipped. They've been installed in 3.3 million homes in about 145 countries. 2 million of homes within the US have these devices.
I've visited several homes with
President Biden, none of them have been made in the US.
I know.
Until now. Thanks to your leadership, we are actually manufacturing these here right now. We are going to build 6 million of these per year in this factory. And we have 2 other factories in the United States for a total of 18 million devices per year.
He's not doing that with SolarEdge, and granted, there's other issues with Elon Musk, but you're looking at SolarEdge, you're looking at Enphase, and you're looking at Tesla, the 3 main players. And Biden met with Enphase.
Yeah, I'll do more research on it, but like as of right now, my price target is probably below 150. If it gets below 150, I'll probably buy some calls on it, but not for 2025, probably for 2026 when they come out in September. So that's the other thing that's really interesting that I hope all of our viewers know. We are at the cusp of the new options starting to come out.
TJ's comment. Bring up that comment. He's like, I hope I'll give Vitaly a dinner for sure on this one.
Yeah.
So Vitaly even more bullish than me. Like, he has more shares, but we both have really been pushing this stock. Nobody's been pushing this stock.
Let's just wait for the numbers, Q2 numbers to come out, and also probable correction in the market, because we can transition into that next, Ahmed, if you want to talk about that.
Let's do it.
I mean, the level of overvaluation in the S&P 500 is starting to get a little bit frothy. I mean, you're starting to see PEs that are just out of this world. I'm not bearish by any means, but I am cautious right now because I'm seeing a lot of companies that shouldn't be rising fast. Like Nikola was up 60% today, right?
Don't you see that's a part of the natural rotation, but part of the reason why that's happening. Part of the reason these mid caps are happening is because these valuations are so crazy. Money is trying to move to greener pastures where the valuations are on the moon already.
I mean, the thing is, you don't go bottom feeding. That's the thing that I used to do as an investor. Like, that was dumb. Okay. You don't go bottom feeding just because, the stock price is low now, so that means that there's way more to go ahead. Like, I can understand if a business is taking some short-term hits because of like the macro environment, and then once the macro improves, the company goes up again. But you're talking about companies that are completely like junk, and companies that are losing money.
Or Lucid, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, even Lucid, there's actually an argument to be made that there could be some money there. Because
there is no argument to be made.
No,
they just continue to lower their guidance. They're not making any vehicles. If people are complaining about the actual vehicles online, they didn't adapt the Tesla charging standard. That was, I think, the last. And they also said that they're not going to be making like a cheaper vehicle, like
Carlos,
Model S, Model 3. That's
Carlos. Just remember, they have the Saudis backing them. That means
that Saudis can lose money too.
Yeah, but Saudis can lose more money. If the whole thing with you can be insolvent longer than, I mean, you can be
the market can be irrational longer than you can be insolvent.
Now the Saudis are like the most irrational because they can just pump in liquid capital. I mean, these guys are out there in the fucking. Did you see the TikTok video where this dude just comes in with a crate of money and just like, you go get a coffee and gives him like $50,000?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what I'm guessing like this shit is about. So they were also dumping money into Credit Suisse when Credit Suisse was like about to collapse also. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on with the Saudis. They just seem to have a lot of money. So, I would just be concerned with the current system, current market, the way it is right now, just be on the cautious side, and definitely cover some downside. Like if you've really had some really amazing gains, you know, you don't have to necessarily trim the position, but I would not be hesitant on buying some puts here and there just in case. You know,
Do you think do you think that a rising tide lifts all boats happens for shitty companies and people should take advantage of those regardless? I like
The
Open Doors up
companies-
400. Open Doors up 400%. I know you've been really bearish on Open Door, but did it make sense at 97 cents to be like, man, when inflation's at 3%, Open Door can't be at 97 cents anymore. It's either bankrupt or it's higher than 97 cents.
no,
Is that
I
like a
mean,
right way to think about it?
the thing is, you have to analyze these things as a business model, right? Like, is the business model going to be successful or is it not going to be successful? And it's up to management when things are not working to pivot into more successful ventures, right? And then that pivot should eventually pay off. The key problem with companies like Open Door and everything else is that because you're so entrenched in your own business model that's failing, you don't want to give it up. So right now, the other companies that were doing iBuying, they gave it up. Like Zillow said, you know what, we're not going to do this anymore. The other couple of companies said, look, this is not an area that's worth it right now. We're taking on too much risk. We're losing money hand over fist. We're going to get out of this. Open Door said, no, we're going to double down. We think our business model is good. We're going to keep up and keep going with it. So right now, Open Door is benefiting significantly from this run up of a lot of these companies, but you know, the numbers haven't come out yet. We don't know if they're on the positive trajectory towards a massive recovery to back to where they were a couple of years ago. Now, the thing is, though, this opportunity has come where they can actually do some liquidation. I mean, do some share issuance and pay down any additional debt, raise capital. Yeah. But that's only going to give you runway. It's not going to change your business model, right? That's the key. So I think a lot of companies, they probably would have gone bankrupt in the next 6 to 12 months, but they're probably going to survive now. And they're going to survive by diluting shareholders, to be honest.
So as a trader, let's say in December, you had a crystal ball and you knew that inflation would get to 3% by June or something, which is a big bet to take. Then do you think it would have made sense as a trade, or it's still too risky?
Nah, I mean, dude, they weren't making money when inflation was at 2%, with mortgages at 2.75%. Please tell me how that's going to fundamentally change them.
No, I get that, but the stock was at 34 at that point. My point is, if it's at 97 cents and you think it's going to be more than 97 cents, but not more than $34 when inflation's down.
The point
as a trader, not as an investor, as a trader, does that
are you trying to be a trader, or are you trying?
No, but I'm just asking a question, because if valuations get so ridiculous. And you could say Open Door at 97 cents is not ridiculous, but you could say in a macro where inflation is not 8%, it is ridiculous for a stock like that has some value to be 97 cents. As a trader, does it make sense to look at that and just be like, let's...
No, the thing is, you have to remember, this is a business, right? So whether it was trading at $34, it was trading at $2, that's irrelevant from them making any money. The problem is they're not making money. When you don't make money, you have a finite amount of time where you're allowed to not make money. After that, you're going to die.
Palantir didn't make money for a long time either. And that was not, but it was not a substantial enough argument for people not to invest.
Well, no. So there's a difference. Palantir was cash flow positive. They're net income negative. So they had no bankruptcy risk whatsoever, right? They don't have any issues like that. These other companies, they're burning cash. Think about it this way. Your balance sheet every year that you're looking at it, the cash is going down. Your net assets are shrinking. They're not going up. With Palantir was growing and they're still growing. Their cash flow was actually positive the entire time. So whenever you have a company with positive free cash flow that's not being financed by debt, dude, that company can survive. You know, it doesn't mean that a company will do really well in the stock market by any means. It just means they'll survive. Some of these companies, they're literally burning cash. All right. That means there's more money going out the door than coming in. Okay.
Yeah. It does depend on what they're spending the money on. This goes back to our conversation yesterday about like Shopify and companies with digital assets versus, say, a company like even like Lucid. They're building out factories. They're buying physical products or physical materials to make vehicles. I think that's a little bit easier for markets, or even for myself, to stomach, versus a company like Open Door, which, I mean, if Meta can make threads with 20 people in 7 or 8 months, how are these companies not profitable? What is the problem? You know what I'm saying?
Can we talk about Threads for 10 minutes? And we'll go to Celsius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Threads is dead.
I got a tweet. Did you see my last? Pull up my last tweet.
Let me give my. Can you send it in the private chat and then I'll pull it up. So I have 2 reasons why I think Threads is dead. Number 1, I haven't checked the app in like 5 days, and the one time I did check it, it's a cesspool of like you can be whatever you want in life and motivation and all
this. Can you pull it up? I want to see what that actually looks like. I want to see what it looks like.
Okay, I'll put it in a second. So number 1, the content sucks, and I don't care how many updates they're about to push. The content it sucks. It's really bad. Just scrolling through the feed, it's not good. Number 2, Twitter. I don't know. I mean, this is a big news story today. Twitter is paying creators. They had a $5 million lot of money they were allocating towards verified creators. You have to have 5 million impressions on your tweets in the past 3 months, and you have to be Twitter Blue verified. And some creators got like $6,000, $7,000. Mr. Beast got $25,000. Some random political accounts got $37,000. I think this is the smartest thing Elon Musk could have done. How did Jack Dorsey for 10 years, 17 years,
not even think
never think, well, YouTube's the biggest in the world because they fucking pay people. Why don't we take the billions we're making from ad revenue, give a tiny
Holmar's catalog got a check for like $7,000, and they're all posting it. $7,000.
Yeah.
I saw somebody else, and the thing is, I'm seeing left wing people and right wing people.
Right wing, both of them. Right.
Both
so
of them,
it's
like,
not.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. Now all of a sudden, I saw a left winger that like hates Elon Musk. 468,000 subscribers got a check for $11,000.
Hate him too much anymore.
I don't think you're gonna be.
And so here's the thing.
Anymore. Now free speech has a value.
Right. No, there's 2 problems with Threads. Number 1, they're censoring the crap out of you. So if you're into anything cool, politics, journalism, whatever, the stuff people actually give a shit about, your content's going to get censored on Threads. So you have no chance to make money.
What does that look like when you say that that's censored? Like, what do you
mean? Like there was a guy who's a Charlie Kirk. He's a right-wing political guy. I tried to press follow, and they said, "Are you sure you want to follow? This guy presents misinformation." That's like censorship, shadow banning, all that type of shit, right? Number 2, Meta never pays people. They have gotten away for the past 20 years without. They gave like a little bit of Instagram Reels bonuses a year ago when TikTok was breathing down their neck. They do not pay people. They will not pay people for Threads. The shareholders don't like when they pay people. I think Threads is dead. I think it's out of the water, and I think Twitter is going to
pull up the while you're saying that, pull up the tweet.
Okay.
It's not this is just anecdotal.
I don't think Threads is dead by any means. I mean, yes, you can see the interests go down, but there is a niche that Meta is just carved out for themselves, where literally there's a core group of people on Twitter that do not want to be on Twitter. They want to have
who are those people? Who are those people?
Huh?
Yeah, like so who are the people?
Because a lot of them came back to Twitter, from what I'm seeing.
I'm seeing a lot of those.
You're seeing it too,
right?
So,
sorry, Twitter. Forgive me for last week. I've seen a lot of those.
So I would say probably brands. I saw a lot of brands start adopting Threads because of the whole thing with Elon and his political leanings and all that stuff. I saw brands and I saw celebrities. So those two core categories are the things that are moving to Threads. Now, the question is just because
the last 2
All
categories.
right, let Kris finish. Let Kris finish.
But I didn't catch the 2 categories you said.
Oh,
brands and celebrities.
Brands and celebrities.
Got it.
Those are the 2 main things that I saw that went. Now, here's the thing though. If your celebrity is boring, like just because they're a celebrity and you follow them doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Like just because you follow, let's say, I don't know, like Ronaldo, right? I think he's one of the more popular ones. But like he never says anything interesting. All he does is maybe like post like a video here and there. What's the point of following them versus following Amit Kukreja, who puts in some work and actually has interaction with his followers and all this other stuff. So I think
he has videos. There's like video clips of him,
right,
suggesting he'll do some very sexual things to anyone who can make him money.
Guys, they clip the
provide some sexual favors.
So the thing is, so I think this is going to be a situation where you're going to have a multifaceted environment with a similar product, right? So you're going to have a lot of people that are more on the liberal side of things, like what's the name? John Perlman or whatever, like Ron Perlman. He's going to probably be on Threads, right? Whereas another celebrity may end up being on Twitter, right? And then basically, if you want to hear about Ron Perlman's thoughts, you can be on Threads. And if you want to hear it on Twitter, because those are the more views that align, you'll go on the Twitter side. You know,
I
I think from Go
I
ahead.
think you're wrong on this. I just think you're wrong. I don't think there's enough of space for two textual mediums to exist because everyone wants to be where the conversation is. The conversation is not on Threads. Even I see the niches you're carving out, but bro, have you even checked the app in the past couple of days? Have you scrolled through it?
I scrolled
bad,
a few
bro.
times here and there, but I'm saying
Someone-
look at Quora, look at Reddit. Did Reddit die? Did Quora die? Did all of these other
but Reddit, but
Way
they're
different use
fundamentally they're fundamentally different in as how I see them. They're both web based. I don't use the app.
Let's do it right now.
or-
Let's do it right
or-
now. All right, here we go. Loading up.
Or
Threads.
yeah,
Here
because
we
I'm curious. All right, so what do you got? All right, you got who is that? Is that Shaq?
Let me actually do this so we get the full audience. There we
All right, there we go. All right, who's that?
So we get some motivational speech. I expect people to be who they are. I'm clipping my nails tonight. No one's saying anything on my nails.
Right.
Look, it's the same fucking account. I don't know why.
Who are you following? Who are
I'm
you
not.
following?
Ball is life, so I like basketball, but that's okay. I don't care. Love
Yeah.
yourself first. Nurture yourself first. Support yourself first. Okay. Damn, I dropped 7 songs in the Discord today, but I actually like Logic, but I don't care about joining his Discord.
Are you interacting with people? Like, are you?
No,
Are you,
bro. None of
Okay,
this.
so
What's
this
the
is
big?
just a-
They're all celebrities. ESPN.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying. Like, it's mostly brands and celebrities. You see?
Someone said we're about to see gay porn. I hate you guys. Lakers. See what I'm saying?
right, the
It's
Pikachu,
bad,
the
bro.
Pikachu girl's about to pop up. The point is that do they have the Pikachu girl?
It's bad, bro. It's bad. I honestly, Chris, I don't think there's enough of an audience. Zuck's got his monopolies with Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. I don't think there's enough people that are going to be threading stuff for the next 5-10 years that's going to make this product a success. I really don't think so. If average people like you and me don't find value, and I know we're in finance, but I don't see it.
Yeah,
man.
but here's the thing: you need
the
people.
flop.
You need people like you and Chris. Like you were able to amass a giant following around a company, a relatively like unknown company at the time.
And by the way,
Personality.
Threads would censor everything on Palantir. They probably don't even like the stuff Palantir, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I
there's
actually don't think
so
they
much-
would. I actually don't think they would. I think they're okay.
But the
with
fact that they
Palantir.
could is scary.
Well, the
right?
fact
Like
that they could, yeah. But what I'm saying is, without like you're able to bring people in, and how many people are on YouTube because they want to follow you and hear what you have to say on a daily basis, and how many other YouTubers have you helped expose them to just by being a platform like your own channel that they can then promote on? Same thing with you, Chris, like with your DD and your research. How many people are searching and finding other YouTubers to get information on stocks that you talk about? Like it's hard to necessarily trace.
It's a
those
beautiful
dots,
network effect.
but
that
it
Threads
really
can get,
does
but I don't
work.
think it has.
You know what I'm saying?
I think the
Yeah.
Meta Bulls, they got too excited when they saw the 100 million user signups, including myself. It means nothing, bro. It really, like, no one I know from Instagram, all my friends that signed up, I looked at their thread, they're not posting. They don't give a shit. Like,
I
So
think
is
I
it-
think
so
the
is it
best
more-
comment that I saw is by Jasper Lumsden. If you can highlight that for Threads, it's just free money for Meta. If it pays off, great. If it doesn't, they don't lose anything. I mean,
agree.
think about it. They're not really
agree.
investing that much money into it. They've got a whole bunch of money that they're probably going to get just from this verification system that they have with Instagram. How many verifies?
Well,
by the way,
that's
did
free
Instagram-
money. Yeah, that's free money. That's
How
$15
much?
a month.
How many
I think it's like
verifications did they pick
65
up?
million people or something.
Think about 65 million times like what is it? $8?
15
that,
on-
$11, $12 $12.
no,
That's
it's 11.
crazy,
It's $11 on
dude.
web, 15 on your phone.
That's why I'm telling you, Meta is like going crazy with the revenue. I'm telling you, Q2 revenue from Meta is probably going to be freaking amazing
Because
because
the stock
now
will
you have,
decline. I just don't know if Threads is
Yeah.
going to win. That's all.
I mean, it's just one more offering that Meta can give. I mean, I heard the same arguments with Snapchat, and I think there's a core niche of people that still use Snapchat. Like the 18 to 25s people, they're all still use Snapchat. You know, I'm like, what about Instagram?
I think it's more so the
stories?
13 to 17 use Snapchat, which they have Gen Alpha under lock. But Threads, the problem is text-based mediums are for our demographic, 25 to 40. Like, we're the ones who have the patience to read shit. Like, there was this one TikTok I saw
And
yesterday.
write shit. It's not just reading.
Yes.
Like,
There was a
this is
TikTok
what
I
I
saw
mean. I feel like it's like
yesterday.
a mall.
The girl asked who uses, she has 300,000 followers, and it's mainly social media, Gen Z. She's like, who uses Twitter? I was scrolling through, there's 13,000 comments. There was like one Twitter for every 500 comments. And most of the people were like, Twitter is for boomers, right? Which they're not really wrong about. And so if Threads is going to be for Gen Z, I don't
Does
think
that okay? I mean, I just have it. I'm just saying, does that generation even? I feel like that generation that they're talking about wants to consume more than they want to create. There's some
No, I just don't think they like
oddballs in the
reading,
group.
bro. They were saying TikTok's way more stimulating, bro. Like TikTok's
But
just,
exactly,
like,
they want to
videos.
consume. They want to consume, and their idea of content creation is TikToking, is videos.
It's like
It's
barf, brain freeze. That's what they like.
I mean, we'll see. They're saying that they're going to bring back Vine or something like Vine. I don't know if Threads has anything or plans to have anything like the Spaces.
No, but see, I'll take the bear side on that. I don't think Twitter can do any video, Vine, TikTok. I think Twitter is Twitter and Instagram is Instagram and TikTok is TikTok. They're trying to do this cross-pollination. All of it's bullshit, in my opinion. Even YouTube.
I loved Twitter when it had Periscope and Vine. I loved it. I love that, and I do miss that part of it. It can just be a separate tab. There's no reason why it can just be a separate tab, and it should. I think it should.
Let me address something real quick. So everyone's like, Kris, where's the $9 post on Palantir? I think it eventually will retrace back down to $9. I think it happens. Yeah. I mean, a lot of software companies, I think they are benefiting like tremendously from the current like market, how it's valued. But I do think that there will be a slowdown in growth, and that slowdown in growth will see the stock price retrace back down to maybe $9, probably 10, 11, 12. I can't really say for certain, but I do know that right now the valuations for a lot of companies has gone crazy. And this is with a looming recession. Okay. I know that this recession is never going to come, all the stories that I hear behind that, but don't get to the point where you let the euphoria end up giving you that confirmation bias and saying, yeah, see, I was right. Palantir was supposed, like, you're talking about a company who's generating now, I mean, who's growing now at like in the teens, but is valued and like what's the current market cap of Palantir?
Actually,
35 billion.
Warren, what are you saying for Palantir?
Yeah.
35. I cannot believe that they're higher than Enphase. This is ridiculous. Markets make no freaking sense. Matthew Warren, 735 S&P inclusion. How many more quarters are there? 2 more, right?
They need 2 more quarters before they're eligible for S&P.
And that would put them in the S&P as early as
Q1
of next year. Okay.
Yeah. Some people are saying I'm jaded. I'm not, dude. I hope y'all are do really well in Palantir. Okay. I'm not like, I am not in a position where I'm sad about it because I've actually done fairly well on my other positions too. You guys remember, I only sold Palantir because I saw more opportunity elsewhere that I was able to capitalize on, right? So if you have money locked away in a company that you're hoping goes higher versus a company that you know it's going to go higher, you should be shifting your priorities to the companies that are undervalued so that this way you can benefit. Right now is not a time where you want to be in companies that are on the higher end of their valuation curve. That's all I'm saying. You know, I think Palantir over the next 10 years is going to do phenomenally well, but it's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of market pivoting, and who knows? And I think the next time we see some downturn, Palantir will be one of those companies that takes the hit, and it'll probably retrace.
I think Q2 will either prove Kris completely correct, or it'll hopefully justify a little bit of the valuation, and then Q3, I think we're officially.
I mean, but what is there? What I mean, what?
Because this is what's happening, bro. Right now. Kris is actually completely correct on this because they're growing at 18% year over year, 16 times price to sales. Like they should not be $35 billion.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree with you. The problem is the market is forward looking. You've got inflation going down, and Q2, if they can show customer count up the wazoo, which is what Karp has kind of been promising. They're not going to recognize the revenue right now, but that means Q3, Q4, that revenue is going to come back again. And then becomes the question of, is this finally the Tesla-like S-curve of massive thousands of clients every, and so I think Kris will probably be right because Q2, we can see a dip. I don't know if it's 9 or 10. Maybe it's like 13, 14, just because I think valuations might not support 9 or 10. But if Q2 blows it out of the water on customer count or even slightly beats on customer count, then I think we settle into this $14, $15 thing for a long.
But and to be clear, these customers that we're talking about are not only military, right? These are commercial customers, or maybe companies that we know.
No, these are huge clients. These are Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies. These are big people. And the problem as a Palantir investor right now is everything Karp is saying is super qualitative in terms of demand is crazy. We're the best product. There's no competition. I actually agree with everything, given all the research I've done. I am weary of how much execution they have on the sales front because historically they've sucked at sales. But if Q2 they sell the shit out of this, doesn't mean the revenue comes in. It means the customer count goes up. We are good to go because that revenue is going to start getting recognized.
Well, he can tell you what the contracts are worth, or he should.
I mean,
That
they
would
might
be
not be
good.
able to recognize that as like legitimate revenue just because they give the product away for free for about 12 to 18 months, and then they recognize the revenue.
I tried to
think
get it.
it's-
I tried to get it as a small business. I asked them twice. They don't even get back to me.
They don't like haters. They don't like you.
It'll
They
be.
don't
I
know.
think
They don't
it'll-
know. I would say they don't know who I am, but they do know who I am. Let's be honest.
I would think that I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But if you're looking at this from just a macro perspective, you're starting to see inflation come down. What does that mean? That means goods and services are starting to not be as consumed, right? Because that's what it is. Like you have a reflection of consumption. If consumption is going down, that'll trickle down into everyone's earnings. The question is, which companies are going to benefit significantly and which ones are going to slow down? From what I'm seeing, SaaS spending is going down, with the exception of some AI products, which, by the way, that could be the monkey in the wrench that throws my entire thesis out the door. That, hey, you know what? There's so many people that are looking to do more with AI that they hire a ton of Palantir services because Palantir does AI related things. So maybe that's where my thesis is wrong. But my understanding right now from just seeing the overall market is there's just so much froth out there. The expectations have been set really high that now any form of slowing, we'll see companies like Palantir I want to say a big hit, but take a hit and retrace back down to more acceptable levels of valuation. That's all. What about you? Are you looking at any other companies, Carlos?
Hold on, real quick. One
Yeah.
one question I want to ask, and I just got to go help my sister real quick, but I want to ask this one question. Is there any point this year, let's say Palantir after Q3, so we're in November, we're still at $16, $17. Is there any moment where you've seen enough growth, you've seen enough customer count, you've seen enough stuff qualitatively where you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna bite the bullet, I'm back in at 17? Does that ever happen? Or you're like, no way am I paying $17 for this company, even if we're in November, December?
If I see that, I'll probably end up just selling puts at like 15, which is the price that I sold at anyway. Like 15.50 is like I rode it from $9. I got back in, rode it higher to like 15.50, started to see that frothiness. And I said, you know what? The risk of being this going from 15 to 25 is much, much higher than it was.
Okay, you keep talking. I really got to go help myself. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You can keep answering. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I would probably just sell puts regularly. I'd just sell the puts at $15, which is what I sold it at.
To then pick up the shares.
Yeah, because that's what it is. Because I'll just collect a premium for Palantir. Like if I believe the Palantir is going to keep going much, much higher with little to no resistance, by all means, I'll just sell the puts and relax. But right now, I feel like the general market is finally going to start to feel these earnings are going to be a big indicator of where we're headed.
Yeah, I think we might have actually already been in a bull market had it not been for Nvidia just smashing it the way that they did. And I think it's been a certain euphoria, and it's put the markets in a sense where they're just going to ignore certain things and just keep on plowing forward. But you're right, the earnings are the things that bring everything back down to earth because these are the actual numbers. And so we'll see. When does earnings season start next?
It's next week. Banks are starting to report next week. So this is where one of the areas that I'm actually hoping that we see a lot of positives. What's going to happen with the banks when they start to report their earnings, the banks, they're going to be able to show their CET1 levels, which is their safety levels, right? So basically, the higher the CET1 levels, the more like better position they are. So a lot of issues around liquidity were being presented in March, which is why a lot of banks sold off, and right now why they're all trading below book value. Now what you're going to see is after earnings, you're actually going to be able to see like, okay, how much money actually left the banks? Was there a huge rotation of people out of these regional banks? And if there wasn't if that wasn't a big impact to them, they're all going to go start trading at book value within the next 6 to 12 months, which is like a huge investing opportunity.
You're talking about the regionals?
Not just regionals, even the big guys, all the banks, because they're all trading at a discount to their book value. I think most of them are trading discounts to book value.
People wanted us to cover TFC earnings, which is in a week. Any updated thoughts on TFC? What you expect?
Yeah, we're at that 45-minute mark. If we're going to take any questions,
okay, I'll put the stream
going now. And then if we are going to mention anything about what happened with CELCIUS, anything related to that, we should pivot somewhat soon.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kris.
Overall, I think right now we should be data driven. We should be more in line with just waiting a little bit. let the data come out and then make a decision on, okay, where do we see this market going in 2023 and 2024? So
tomorrow's a big
I
day.
don't think we're going to see I think if we see a slight decline on deposits on TFC, it's still not going to be the worst. They already said their profit's going to go down about 3%, or sorry, revenues would be down 3%, but fair value on that baby is like 56. So I don't think.
Yeah. What's good is they didn't even raise their dividend this time. So now that means that they're retaining more of their earnings on their balance sheet to stock up their. So basically they gave up raising the dividend. Like some of these other banks, they all raised their dividends. TFC said, no, we want to make sure that we have ample liquidity and we have so that our safety net is good. So right now what you're seeing is them keeping more money on the balance sheet, which means the price of the stock is probably going to go higher. The dividend may not be as great, even though right now at current price, you're getting a 6.5%, 7% dividend. I think when we bought it was like 8 something. Yeah. So yeah, it's like 6% dividend right now. Right. And the PE is a 7.48. This usually trades at a PE of about a 10. Most regionals a 10, 11, 12. So I would say this thing can go probably to 45, 50, which is around what our spreads are worth. And so our spreads are printing like a motherfucker. And all we have to do now is just keep.
Did you see it in the morning when the market opened? The spreads, they went up really high.
Bro,
you saw it in the market, right?
Oh, bro.
That's one of my favorite things. It's like the dogs being let out of the gates
at 9:30. Yeah, they always come back down. But at 9:30, I looked at it. I was like, oh, that's a good one. Back to you, Bob. How's it going? Real quick on Midwest, you sell a put at $15. So if Palantir drops to 15, you get to buy it and keep the premium you received up front. And if it doesn't drop to 15, you just keep the premium. Correct. If you sell a cash secured put with a strike price of 15, let's say Palantir gets to 14, you have to buy it because it's below 15. But the premium you get plus the shares you have to pay for it will reduce your cost basis. And obviously, this is a strategy for a company to do if you want to be long the stock. If it doesn't get to that level, you just keep the premium. That's it. But your money is collateralized during the time that the cash secure, your money's locked up during the time the cash secure put until it expires.
And you're buying 100 shares, so you can't do a cash secured put on 10 shares. It's you have to do them on 100 share lots. So if we are going to talk a little bit about
crypto, CELCIUS,
the crypto thing, this was an interesting interaction that I had. I don't know if this person's actually in our chat or not. Who is it? It was, if you just pull it up, it's the last link that I sent you. Stephen Olsley.
Okay, let me pull it up.
If you I sent it to you in the private chat.
Yeah, got it.
It's a YouTube short that I actually saw it on YouTube and then I saw it making the rounds. This one, it's worth watching this.
If inflation isn't theft, then why can't people counterfeit money?
If they can just print money, why do we pay taxes?
Wow.
If inflation is not theft and we can just print money and we don't have enough money, we can just print more money and give everyone that doesn't have enough money. Why don't we just do that instead of paying taxes? Inflation is legal counterfeiting. Counterfeiting is criminal inflation. So central banking is a coordinated currency counterfeiting cartel that runs the world. It's a Band-Aid. You know what Milton Friedman said about inflation is that it's just like alcoholism. The good effects come early, right? You print the money, you have the drink, you feel good. The hangover comes later. The same is true of inflation. Every time the crisis comes, you have to print exponentially more money because there are exponentially more liabilities in the system from the last round of printing. And so this is why it's unsustainable. And this is why it always culminates in hyperinflation, because the central bank has not only the precedent, but also the incentive to continue printing the money until the currency hyperinflates into worthlessness.
So that was it. Now I posted that and I posted it on Twitter saying why Bitcoin will win in 60 seconds because that was a minute long. And then someone commented underneath, Stephen Olsley, and he said, I think something profound just happened in my head, but I haven't quite processed it yet. Maybe I should reconsider.
Yeah, everything that guy said is absolute fucking bullshit. It is ridiculous. Bitcoin will win because people speculate on Bitcoin. No. The idea that the Fed and it's this coordinated plan, it's like, no, we need a system for shit to make sense.
No, it's not that it's a coordinated system. It's that inflation is, or hyperinflation is a.
Where's the hyperinflation? Jack Dorsey said in 2022, hyperinflation is coming. Where is it?
No. I mean, these things take a long time to play out. It's not that they happen right away, but it is the ultimate end goal of almost every fiat currency. Because the only way you can pay, because if the money is borrowed, if the United States government borrows the money from the Fed on interest, then the only way to pay back the interest is with more money. Then you realize that there's never any money to pay back the debt with the interest. You continually have to borrow more. You do
Well, just
understand
cut
that
your
part.
spending, and then you can pay back the debt.
Can
But
you
if-
can you share the screen real quick? So I found this actually kind of interesting. The proportional relationship to U.S. dollar to Bitcoin.
Can you zoom in on that? What are the X and Y axis here?
Okay, so the x-axis is just the timing, so it's like
Time,
the
okay.
dates, right? The y-axis on the left-hand side is price of Bitcoin, right-hand side is US dollar. Okay, so you can see here as the US dollar goes up in value, right? Bitcoin goes down in value. On the other hand, if the dollar goes down in value, the price of Bitcoin tends to go up. So you can see here the dollar index right here. As it's going lower, Bitcoin is getting higher and higher. So the question is, where is it going to go from here? But you can see that there is a proportional response to where the dollar is headed. Yeah. So right now, it's going to be curious to see which
The idea,
direction we end up going.
to sum it up in a sentence, is that there is an infinite amount of fiat to buy a finite amount of Bitcoin. The scarcity of Bitcoin, or the scarcity of any asset, is what gives it value. And you can print in US dollars to essentially be worthless. You can't do that with crypto. And if you're using fiat currency, but this is a fact, you cannot make any more. It's a fact built into the network, is you can't make any more Bitcoin. So when that last Bitcoin is mined, I don't know what the exact year is. Store of, it is a store of value.
I mean, look, there's a lot of reasons
why
inflation is not a bad thing. Hyperinflation obviously is bad, but I think the United States has created the best system in the world to make sure that the dollar doesn't implode, backed by the biggest military in the world. And the idea that we should get rid of the central bank, get rid of Jerome Powell, which is every Bitcoin maximalist's wet dream, and that Bitcoin runs, it is the stupidest thing that has ever been said.
What is your argument?
Not a good thing.
Why not? Why would happen?
Because you're arguing for anarchy, Carlos. You went to public school.
But
I went to public school. The government borrowed money from our taxes to be able to fund
but give me an actual fiscal argument why that makes sense, other than it's going to be anarchy, like something real, tangible numbers. Percentages.
You want Bitcoin to be the world reserve currency for everything to operate.
That's not what I'm saying.
So let's say Silicon Valley Bank collapses and someone needs to backstop the losses, and we need to print some money, and we can't print any money.
That's not.
How do we get through that situation?
That's not my question. My question is, what is the benefit of having? What is the benefit of?
I just told you the benefit.
But
when Silicon Valley Bank collapsed and Roku was on the hook for $420 million, and the Fed stepped in and said, "We got you. Don't worry, it's FDIC insured." Boom! You printed money and you made sure Roku keeps their money in the bank. That is the benefit to a Fed.
My question is, what is the benefit of a fractional reserve banking system if they can print the money to oblivion and make it worthless?
Because they're not going to print the money to
oblivion. That's what's been happening.
Inflation went down from June last year to here because we've taken steps to raise rates.
As soon as we were taking off of the gold standard, the US dollar was trading on confidence. It wasn't trading anymore, or the value of the US dollar was not based on a hard asset. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that the system doesn't work, but at least have it backed on something, right? So if it's not, I'm not even saying make Bitcoin the world's reserve currency. I'm just saying make it backed on something so that a dollar still has some intrinsic value. The money that you have in the bank is worth less because they printed more of it.
Right.
And if you print money right now, it's illegal inflation.
So you're saying we should never have inflation ever? We should just never have.
I think that
there's no benefit to having a little bit more money in the system.
I don't think. Look, I mean, look at Heinz comments 752. You're too young to understand this.
No, I'm not going to play. I'm not going to
play the young. I'm not going to play the young thing. I just don't think it's been explained to you. It's like the reason why real estate is valuable is because we don't have infinite space to build shit. If we had infinite space to build everything,
there's another reason real estate is valuable. It puts a home over your head. The reason the dollar is valuable is because McDonald's accepts the dollar. It's not just because of infinite supply. It's because you can actually use the thing.
Yes, but then why do you need to print more of it? Why would you need to print more of it and devalue the stuff that's already out there?
You know what? Let me explain. Let me explain how this works.
Look at that. Okay. I mean, $32 trillion in debt. You understand that that's never going to get paid back?
You realize that begs the question of if the debt even matters, which is a whole nother debate.
Yes, which is another question. But what happens is you just keep piling up the debt, and then the U.S. defaults. And what happens to a person when they default and they go bankrupt, right? That's the question.
It begs the question if anyone will allow the U.S. economy to default, which I don't know.
Right, but who's going to bail us out? Who bails us
No, I
out?
mean, I think from a valuation perspective, it's to me whenever I try to analyze Bitcoin, I think of it as this fork right here, right? What is this fork worth to you, Amit? What is this fork worth to you?
If I don't have a fork to eat my salad, I would pay $2, $3 for it.
Right? What about you? What is this worth?
If I'm like right now, that fork
Yeah,
is
right
worth,
now. This
right now
worth,
that
this
that fork is worth like $1. If I'm on a deserted island and
Mhm.
you know what I mean? If I'm on a deserted island and I have no utensils, that could be the most valuable thing to me on the
No,
planet.
no, just tell me what. Give me a dollar amount.
$1.
What is it worth?
Okay, $1. We'll use
$1, right? Amit, you say it's $2, right?
Correct.
Right. The value of this fork is $2 because Amit is willing to pay $2. So I'm willing to sell it to him for $2. So whoever is willing to pay the most is what the asset is worth. And that's about it. Right. The minute that Amit says, no, I don't want to buy this anymore, this becomes $1.
Okay,
And that's it.
But now
Yeah.
Amit says he'll pay $2 for it, right? And
Yeah.
he says $2 because in his head he has an idea of what $2 is worth, right? But then the government prints $7 trillion, and the spending power of that $2 is now 50 cents. Now the actual value of that fork is $6 or $8 because it's quadrupled. You need quadruple the amount of dollars to pay to have the same value. If you print more of it and it's worth less, each individual one is worth less. You understand? I mean, if you think about it, the greatest
question-
I actually looked this up. Hold on. I actually looked this up because this was
I want to hear Chris's response while you're doing
okay,
it.
sure,
Chris, what were you gonna say?
I'm just gonna
The thing is, I get that each argument here, one is saying that the limited amount is what gives it its value, but then you also have to remember the other side of it, which is legitimacy is what gives it its value also. So if Bitcoin has no legitimacy, then it doesn't mean shit. Right now, and this is where Amit, I'm sorry you're going to lose this argument. BlackRock, all these big companies are
Oh, that's
giving
fair.
Bitcoin, all these big companies are giving it legitimacy. The one thing Bitcoin did not have until today was legitimacy. Yet it's still worth $31,000. So what does that mean when it does become a legitimate store of wealth? It means that now you're going to have a finite amount of dollars chasing a legitimate product. And that's where Bitcoin goes from being a speculative investment to a store of wealth and store of assets that can be used as a form of not payment, but as a store of wealth. And I think that's the bull case that I would make with Bitcoin, saying, look, now you have the big guys actively saying we are going to create some sort of framework around making this a legitimate product or a legitimate asset class. And
Can you
because
just
of
pull this
that,
up
I
while
think
Chris is
Bitcoin
talking,
going
you
to
just
go
pull
up.
this up.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
what you were saying.
Go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, the legitimacy point, yes, I do have a counterpoint that I want to say, but these are the list. This is the list of the best store of values in the world: gold, silver, platinum, residential properties, commercial properties, paintings, sculptures, and rare collectible items. All of those are tangible things that are in finite supply, right? So this goes back to our conversation we were talking about yesterday: store of value, finite supply. But those don't have to be legitimized, Chris, because if I had 1 million people that could have the same, say, outlook and due diligence as you become less valuable if 10,000 people can do exactly what you do. Or if they had the same track record picking the same stocks for the same reasons that you do. If everybody could see the things that you see in certain stocks, like looking at TFC and knowing that it's a good buy, first of all, everyone would have bought it and your thesis probably would have never played out. So it's about scarcity. Scarcity is can't think of anything that is abundant.
Well, no, I mean, the thing is,
value.
the thing with TFC and investing in stocks is completely different because you're not investing in an asset. You're investing in a business. There's a big difference between that and an asset. Like a piece of gold has no material value outside of what someone else is willing to pay for it. Whereas TFC is an income generating asset. That's the big difference.
I'm not comparing. I'm not trying to compare Bitcoin to TFC. I'm comparing Bitcoin or a store of value or anything that's scarce that has value because of its scarcity to like a human's ability to see things where others don't. That has value to people. That's why people will pay $5 a month on Patreon to get the benefit of seeing what you see that they don't see. And so there's a scarce asset there, which is a viewpoint or a perspective or even a foresight or a vision, right? Where you see something in the numbers that other people don't see, and that has value. And how do we know what value it has? Because someone can pay you money to say, that's what I think it's worth. With $5 a month on Patreon, or if a company wanted you to come in and consult, they would say that's worth $180,000 a year because we want your perspective. That's what it comes down to. I can't think of anything. If maybe I'm wrong. Is there anything that is abundant on planet Earth that is also extremely valuable? I can't think of anything.
I mean, I don't know. I would say the only thing that Bitcoin would, the risk for Bitcoin at this point is just one day Satoshi Nakamoto comes out and says, "Hey, I fucking tricked all of you into buying this bullshit," and that was it.
But even if
That's
he
the only
says-
risk left.
Here's the thing.
That's
Even
the
if he
only risk
says,
left.
"I tricked you into buying this bullshit," it still has become something that does have incredible
I mean,
value.
Bitcoin's gonna
Imagine-
go up. It's gonna go up. I just never agreed with its thesis, but it will go up because everyone will speculate. It'll drive the price
Okay,
up.
let's
yeah.
play this one thing. This was the link actually that Vitaly sent earlier today. If you just want to play a little bit of this, let me see. Share screen. It is, where's the tab? It is this one, and I've got a
Water is the most important. That is true. Water is
right. But is water? What does a bottle of water cost you? It's not worth. It's not $10,000 for a bottle of water. All right,
liquid
let me-
death could be.
Tell me if you hear the. Tell me if you hear the audio.
Considered based on its
Yeah.
hallmarks, based
You
on
do.
its
Okay.
protect
All right, so this is Gillibrand and what's her face. They're talking about this bill that they passed. This is the founder of crypto lender CELCIUS Network pleads not guilty to fraud charges. This is actually very good for crypto. In the short term, it will help bring the price down, but it also shakes out a lot of these bad actors to get to the real assets. So this is the discussion that they're having about whether or not crypto or any crypto is a security or is it a commodity. If it's a commodity, it's treated like a home. If it's a security, it's treated like a stock. And this is them discussing what the bill that they're trying to pass.
Consumers, but also allow for innovation in this space.
Senator Gillibrand, I know that there was this concern over how these things are defined as digital assets versus securities. And it does seem from the wording in the bill here that it mostly comes under the purview of the CFTC as assets. Why that decision?
That's not what the bill says, actually, and I think it's a misinformation created by people who want the bill to fail. In fact, what the bill does is looks at digital assets and defines them by their characteristics. So a digital asset that has the characteristics of a security as defined by the Howey test, which is the legal standard, if it meets the Howey test, then it's a digital security. If it does not, and it is fully decentralized and has the hallmarks of a commodity, then it's a digital commodity. And so we're very clear that assets that are being offered to raise money, like a stock is for a centralized company, that's going to be a digital security because it qualifies and satisfies the Howey test. There's over 15,000 cryptocurrencies right now. Most of them, the vast majority of them, are going to be considered to be digital securities. So the workload by the SEC and CFTC will both be enormous. The one digital asset that has largely been considered to be a commodity by almost all experts is Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin regulatory framework will be under the CFTC because it is defined as a digital commodity.
Okay.
There you go. Answers right there.
So what she's basically saying is that Bitcoin, assuming that all this passes, will be considered a commodity and it will trade and be valued as a commodity, and everything else, whether it's Ethereum, Cardano, any of these others, will be seen as a security. So they'll be treated as a stock and expected to function that way. That's huge. That's actually huge because that was something that we wanted that regulation. And that is something that institutions have needed. They've needed to know what it is defined as so that they can invest in it. You understand what I'm saying? This is the regulation that we've been waiting for a long time. And at the same time, you get, this guy, the CELCIUS Network, he's committed fraud. We don't know what to say, allegedly committed fraud. A lot of these players go away. And what people keep coming back to is that Bitcoin is the real deal. Bitcoin is the only real one. The only real one. And if you're holding Bitcoin, you will see a massive benefit from this as we lead into the halving event, which I'm not sure if you guys know, lead into the halving say in the next year and a half, 2 years.
Would you buy Bitcoin at 30,000 right now, Carlos?
No, I actually had this.
Okay, so right there, the only reason you're saying a lot of this stuff is also because you have such a good price that you're very happy to keep propagandizing this narrative.
No,
someone who has no Bitcoin at 30,000,
I wouldn't buy now. No, I would wait till September. I would wait till September because you usually see.
I'm saying, would you pay $30,000 for a coin or $40,000?
If I had no Bitcoin, okay, I would wait till September and I would liquidate even some of my stocks to pick up Bitcoin. But I would wait till September. If you look, I had this conversation with Jesse Dow and a couple of other people on Twitter, and if you look back at Bitcoin's price on September 21st, literally the last 3 years, that's usually been the low price for the rest of the year. 2020, that was the low of the year, and that's when we ran up in 2021 to the all-time high.
So Bitcoin is basically never going to be expensive to you. Like, let's say it's 25,000 in September. You would
no, I would have picked up. Yeah, I would pick.
Why aren't you buying more? Would you buy it at 25,000 in September?
Bitcoin is. We don't talk about this much, but Bitcoin and crypto is a massive part of my net worth right now. I am deep in this.
What percentage of the portfolio?
It's at least 50%. It's at least 50%.
Okay, I didn't know that.
But that's not necessarily.
Now I know why you love Bitcoin. Now I get it, baby.
But that's not necessarily my invested. The thing is, that's not necessarily my invested capital. I probably have more money invested in Tesla, but I got really good prices on Bitcoin where the returns have been ridiculous.
Keep talking your shit, bro. You got 50%. You got to keep pumping that motherfucker.
Well, the thing is, I'm not trying to pump it. I mean, I'm telling people because of I'd say even more than Tesla, I probably researched of Bitcoin even more. And so, and look, I mean, don't just take my word for it. Follow people, follow crypto people, follow Jesse Dow. That guy knows what he's talking about. And he called you out. I didn't even say anything to him. And he called you out. Even you, I think he said you too, Kris. He's like, yo, for as smart as you guys are, and as much as you see shit out there, this is something that's in a massive blind spot for you guys. And I'm not trying to be like the crypto guy. That's why I don't talk about it much, but I'm feeling the same thing that I felt in 2020 when this thing was sitting at $8,000-$9,000 and people are like, it's too high. I'm like, and then we went up to $70,000, man. And it was like me and Vitaly, like, woo, high-fiving each other. And we just want people to participate in this.
Someone's asking, do I have crypto? I do not have crypto, but I do have some MSTR, which is, I told you.
You picked it up? You picked it up?
Yeah, I bought a few shares. I picked about 10.
Okay.
So I was like, whatever,
Balls deep. Yeah, but Ken, man, I am balls deep. So anyway, I think this is good. And I think
that's
this
it
is
for us. Yep.
I think
good.
This is
the end of the work week. We'll be back Sunday on the new channel. Johnny will put it in the chat right now, and we'll be there 10 p.m. as always.
It's going to be fun because I'm going to be on vacation, so I'm not going to tell you where I am, but I'm just going to pop on the show on Sunday. I'm going to be somewhere different.
Okay. Is it in the States or it's not in the States?
Yeah, I mean, I with the wife, all that stuff, the kids stuff. So I'm trying to keep it somewhere close. Wait until Aztec. Look at Bitcoin's. Follow me on Twitter. Go back through some stuff. You'll see I've had this conversation. Look at Bitcoin's price on September 21st. Follow a guy named Bob Lucas and Benjamin Cowan into the cryptoverse. No, actually, Cameron Vincent. No, Vitaly and I had to buy Shiba Inu on a bet that we lost, and we bought it $100 worth. I think it's worth $7 right now. It's garbage.
Okay. Starting July 24th, this podcast is going to be at 7 p.m. for the rest of the summer. The reason for this is because Carlos has some film gigs, and so he has to be out by 5 p.m. his time, so 8 p.m. our time. So 7 p.m. is going to be the new time. Sorry if it's a bit inconvenient for some of you. I think for some of you, it's actually be really good. It's after dinner. You don't have to wait till 10 p.m.
Wait till 10 o'clock. Is
7 to 8.
Is that
Eastern?
Are we doing that on the new channel?
We have to figure that out. We still don't know that.
Okay. And Crossroads, I mean, Crossroads feels me. Carlos, at least you tried. I ignored BTC until 2020 when a friend challenged me to do the DD. Seriously, we should have a conversation about this offline, very much like Kris did with TFC. I think there's a massive opportunity that's being missed here. But to your point, Kris, I now see what you mean. I don't want people to blindly follow me into this thing and think that it's whatever, but it is a massive opportunity. And we are also in the right time. If you have none, this is the time, I think, to be accumulating some. And we're just seeing all of the regulatory dominoes falling in line, man. You got the guy from BlackRock talking about it as it's digitizing gold, and they're trying to get an ETF. I don't know. We'll talk about that offline.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back Sunday. And again, starting July 24th, 7 p.m. Not next week, but in about 2 weeks, 7 p.m. every day for the podcast. We'll see you guys. Have a great weekend.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.